Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here. Would you please introduce yourself and your role, what you're doing at Talabat?
Yeah, my name is Ahmad, and I work as a performance marketing manager, and I look at growth perspective. I work in performance marketing team, but what I look at specifically is growth, how we are spending the marketing budgets, whether it's basically contributing towards the overall growth. Is it just we are spending the marketing budgets, burning the marketing budgets, looking at certain metrics like acquisitions, but we are looking at incrementality and stuff like that. So that's what I do.
That's great, and I think that's a very important role. And my quick question to you, so what are the, let's say, growth perspectives? What are the platforms, what are the medias that are really working well for Talabat today?
Well, if you're in digital media, you cannot skip the regular Googles and Meta and TikToks. I would say these are the main platforms for anyone, I would say, in digital media. But then we have been observing that to get incremental growth and to reach out to exclusive audiences, you have to look at certain innovative solutions. Podcast advertising is one of them we have been discovering recently. And then we look at different stuff like dynamic creative optimizations. But platforms, I would say 70% of the media spend goes to Google, Meta, TikTok, and Snapchat. But then I would say 20% of the budget we keep buffer for new innovative solutions and platforms like podcast advertising.
So I was going to ask you actually as the next one, do you see podcast or podcasting becoming more popular and being integrated into modern media campaigns as the new channel? Do you see that trend increasing?
I would say yes, and there are probably two reasons behind it. One, what we have been seeing in terms of media consumption of users, we do a lot of research about it, and what we have been seeing is before the long form, people used to consume long form content on YouTube only, but we see a major drift from YouTube towards podcasting. That's one of the reasons, because in long form content you really can play around a lot about as an advertiser sending you a message to the audience, because people are in a more relaxed way when they're consuming long form content. So that's one reason I would say. The second reason I would say we have been observing in last 2 to 3 years is people engage a lot with the content creators who they consume content from. You can see that in terms of paid media ads, in short form ads as well. The UGC type content is working a lot better. And that's the same reason people engage, connect with the content creators. And these both things are present in podcast. And I see there's a growing trend in podcast advertising as well.
What are the benefits that podcasting is giving compared to, let's say, traditional media?
I think one of the biggest reasons I could think of is traditional media it's full of noise at the moment. I mean, if you look at, let's say, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, they all are moving towards short form content. And basically, the attention span of users is decreasing a lot. And with that being said, and then you have a lot of advertisers pushing their content towards the audience. So it's too noisy, and no matter how brilliant or creative campaign you have, it's very difficult to make it stick to the users, whether you're targeting top of mind or not. But however, in podcast advertising, it's a bit different. People are in a different, I would say, frame of mind when they're consuming long form content, and the message sticks to them. And whether you're doing paid media ads, which is in stream within the podcast, or you're doing collaborations with the content creator, I see that the message sticks longer. That's one of the biggest difference I see.
I've come across some statistics that show that most of the listeners on a podcast, they don't mind, they don't really skip the ads. You know, like we have that opportunity on YouTube when we're watching something, we can skip the ad, but they're likely to listen to the app, and they're likely to refer to a brand who was advertising while they were listening to a podcast. Do you know why, like, can you elaborate maybe, why do you think it happens?
There are multiple reasons. For example, I would say one of the podcasts I consume is Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
Now, the way he integrates the ads within the content, it's very relevant, and it's not too salesy and pushy. I think all the content creators have understood this, how to integrate these advertising within their platform. And that's one reason. The other reason is, what I would say is, to get quality content nowadays, there's so much content. Like one of the statistics I was looking at is, on YouTube, every minute more content is uploaded than BBC network created in 4 years. So with so much content available, but the quality content who the audience resonates with and they can follow a content creator for a long time, there's not much content available, honestly. But when audiences find and resonate with the content creator, they honestly, I'm a content creator myself. I have a YouTube channel, and I have seen people commenting, okay, to support the channel, watch the whole ads. They don't understand, it doesn't make a difference. But I have seen people commenting like that. So I would say that's one of the reasons. They just want to support the content creator as well and not skip the ads. These are the two reasons, I would say.
Yeah, it's interesting how you fairly mentioned that how organically advertising is implemented or integrated into a podcast as a long form of content. In terms of the specific, let's say, podcasting tracks, how do you, let's say, brands like Talabat can pick the right, let's say, platform for them to advertise themselves? Is it like a specific theme, or how is that creative aspect work? Does it have to be directly related to the business that the brand is doing?
I think there are multiple school of thought about it, and there's no right and wrong. But we at Talabat as well do not follow one particular direction. We test a lot of things. For example, we recently did with Next Broadcast Media, we did a campaign in Ramadan. And we kind of mix and match different aspects in the creative. For example, there is a little bit of personalization, there's a little bit of creative, there's a little bit of out-of-box thinking, which the users can understand. For example, we did a campaign with Next Broadcast Media where we focused on, during the Ramadan, where we focused on dynamic creative, basically.
Right.
So people who were listening to the podcast, whether it was suhoor time, whether it was iftar time, the messages would change automatically. And marketing is all about doing different stuff. Mm-hmm. If you just do the same thing, you will not stand out. And one of the things which is very important to marketing is you have to be different. You have to stand out so that people remember you and you create that top of mind awareness. And with that, what we observed is there was a huge uplift in the ad recall, because people were like, okay, they're talking about iftar. Will they have a new message during suhoor time? So it basically stick to their mind. So I would say, yeah, you always have to mix and match and use different approaches. If you just use one approach, it defies the purpose of marketing in the first place, which is you just have to stand out, always come up with different stuff.
So true. So do you think podcasting allows brands to do it in a more organic way? Let's put it this way, in a more creative way. Does it have a lot more options?
Yes, of course. So because when it comes to the content creators, because they talk about a particular niche, but then there are multiple topics. And they have this, basically they have this leverage to talk to a brand and tell them, okay, we have this particular topic coming up, we will be able to integrate you better there. So it's not like you're watching something else and suddenly you see they talk about an ad which is very irrelevant. Yeah. So I have seen in last 2-3 years, all the good content creators, they have been using this, and what they do basically is when they integrate these advertisers and the brand messages, it's so relevant and you don't even feel like it's an ad, and you basically listen to it and the audience is in the same context, they're talking about the same context, so it basically fits the better. So I would say, yeah.
That is an amazing advice, and also probably one of the last questions to wrap it up. From operational perspective, what do you think, what part of the budget should be that brands need to start testing podcasting as a platform for advertising? So what do you think, what part of the budget it should be?
To be honest, there's not much done in this space, so I cannot give you a percentage or a split. But of course, I mean, this is what brands should start testing. And of course, they look at different kind of research and brand metrics, how it impacts, and then on the go, they adjust the budgets. But I don't think I have a split or a particular percentage I
That's
can
right.
mention at the
Yeah,
moment.
it's more about your opinion and your feeling of it, and considering you've already done campaigns with Next Broadcast Media, very relevant to some sort of regional context. I think that's a great insight into what really brands should start testing.
Yep.
And thank you very much for your insights. That was great having you, and please enjoy the event today.
Thank you for having me.